Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Where the executions from the last video were extremely brutal, it is also crucial to understand the mentality of the Mughal emperor too. Here are a few facts that will outline what sort of a person Aurangzeb was. He had his sister Roshan Ara poisoned, leading her to a slow, painful death. He murdered his brother Dara Shikoh to eliminate any competition posed to his throne. He imprisoned his own daughter Jebel Nusan just because she was a creative poet, and any form of expressive arts such as poetry or rag, music, was banned in the Mughal rule. He also imprisoned his father, the former Mughal emperor Shah Jahan, so that he could keep full control over his forcefully acquired rule. History records how he would starve his father of any water or food and would tease him by suggesting that his father had paper to eat and ink to drink, seeing as his father seemed to write letters while in confinement. Sufi leaders such as Sarmad, a fakir, were executed, as well as leaders from the Shia Islamic sect. This was because Aurangzeb strictly followed the Sunni sect of Islam to the word. He even once sunk a boat full of sadhus, spiritual practitioners, and drowned them to their death. Hence, his extreme views would leave no room for any secular consideration of other ways of life. This quick sketch says enough about him for us to understand why the Khalsa have historically referred to him as Nauranga, the hideous on the throne. According to Gurpartap, Suraj Parkash, after hearing about such ruthless executions of Mati Das Ji, Sati Das Ji and Dayala Ji, the remaining Sikhs that had accompanied Guruji from Anandpur Sahib managed to escape prison at night. Before leaving, they expressed to Guruji how horrid this emperor was and feared what their fate would probably be. Uda Ji, Sahib Chand Ji, both from Hasanpur, Kabulpur, and Jetta Ji were their names. Guruji gave them the choice to leave if they wished, and this is what they chose to do. However, where these Sikhs avoided martyrdom, they were still brave enough to take further responsibilities. For example, Sahib Chand was instructed by Guruji to relay the message back to his family in Anandpur Sahib that Guruji will not be returning home, and they should stay strong within themselves, knowing that his sacrifice will bring the end to the tyrant rule of the Mughals. Noteworthy here is Sikhs such as Bhai Gurditta Ji, mentioned before, who even though had his hands cuffed and shackles around his ankles in prison, still continued to serve Guruji as best as he could, even though he was separated from Guruji during the nights. After discovering that 3 Sikhs had managed to escape prison, Guruji was then confined in a pinjara, cage, in which he could neither stand straight or sit down comfortably. This was because the cage had poisoned spikes fitted within it and forced the occupier into an awkward body posture. The cage was locked with chains all around it, and prison guards would remain next to the cage, watching Guruji at all times. One Daroga, supervision guard, would even sleep next to Guruji's cage at night to keep constant supervision. However, as time progressed, one of these guards, whose name is not mentioned in some sources, but in others is recorded as Abdullah, realized how great Guruji was through his divine teachings and life guidance. He was so inspired by Guruji that he even offered to release Guruji and accompany Guruji back to wherever he wanted to go. However, Guruji declined this offer, knowing that martyrdom was his only destination. This God played a crucial role in allowing the communication between Guruji and his family, allowing Sikhs to visit Guruji with messages. Guruji stated that the fact that he was willing to lose his job and potentially his life for Guruji's sake was more than enough, and he needed not to think anymore. Sri Gobind Singh Ji, his mother Mata Gujri Ji and his grandmother Mata Nanki Ji had agreed to send Sahib Chand back to Delhi so any further communication from Guruji could be brought back again. This was the same Sahib Chand that had earlier managed to escape prison and reach Anandpur Sahib safely. Sahib Chand eventually met Guruji again due to Abdullah being on duty. With a paper and ink bought by Sahib Chand, Guruji wrote the revelation of Slok Mahalla Nava whilst imprisoned in the cage and sent it back to his family. It was through this communication that Guruji chose his son Sri Gobind Singh Ji to be his predecessor as the next Guru. Out of interest, it is important to mention here that it was this same Sahib Chand that later became a great martyr in battle whilst defending the fort of Nirmohgarh Sahib. In this case, Sahib Chand travelled back and forth to relay the messages of Guruji and his family to each other. Very interesting in history is how Mata Gujri Ji had a scary dream the night before her son Sri Gobind Singh Ji was chosen as the next Guru. This dream awoke her and kept her awake all night in a worry. She not only saw Guruji choosing their son as the predecessor, but also saw her husband Guru Tegh Bahadar Ji being beheaded by an executioner, sacrificing his head to uphold his promise. History records this beautifully as tears streamed from Mata Gujri Ji's eyes. Sri Gujri man deen uchare, तुम दर्शन की प्यास हमारे, जिम जान हो तिम रच हो गुसाई, तुमरे मह चित रह सदाई. Gurpartap Suraj Parkash, 12th Ras, chapter 63, verse 27. What happens next in history? Be sure to tune in to the next video to find out. Thank you all for listening. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.